Can you hear me okay?
You, yes, over the top.
More than you'd like to?
No, I didn't mean that.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to episode number 35 of The Not So Serious Life. That is Stephen Delano Chandler, and I am Jason Richard Goldberg. I think that's something new I'm going to do, Steve. I'm going to make up what the D in your middle name stands for, so don't tell us what it really stands for. Is that cool?
All right.
Cool. You're wearing my color today. Is that a butterscotch shirt?
No, this is bright orange.
Oh, you mean like my wall?
No, your wall is butterscotch.
You know what? Forget you. Okay. So you ready to jump into the question for today?
Yeah, let's go.
So there's going to be something different here, Steve. The people have spoken, and they are concerned about my sugar intake. They are concerned that our cereal box thing has gone stale, no pun intended. I am not in agreement, but you know what? You have spoken. The people have spoken. I think they're siding with you just because of maturity. But that's okay. Yeah. What? Yeah. Whatever. So for today, at least for today, I am going to pick the questions, and we're not going to pull them out of anything, at least for now. Does that sound good to you?
I love it.
I'll pull out of the air. Okay.
I'm going to quote you on that later. We're not going to pull them out of anything. Jason Goldberg.
That could be one of our little picture quotes for Facebook.
Beautiful phrase. I love that.
Isn't it? I'm a master of words. Okay. Question for today is, it comes from Jim. And Jim says, how do you manage overwhelming sadness? How do you manage overwhelming sadness? And he continues to write, he says, how do you manage overwhelming sadness and widespread fear and panic? For example, ISIS and war. So a really nice, lighthearted way to start the show today, Steve. Yeah. So how do you manage overwhelming that word? Doesn't that word like just stick out to you? Overwhelming sadness?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Any thoughts on that?
Well, it's very understandable in the age we live in. Also, the way the media works. I used to work in the media. I was with a newspaper for a long time, and the media has one goal, and that is to get ratings. Mm. And they have found over time that they get their ratings when they alarm the audience. Anything that's alarming. That's why you see these things like the biggest hurricane of all time is about to make landfall. Well, it peters out. Now the media gets upset because no one has died and ratings go down. And so one thing that helps me with that kind of sadness that comes out of hearing about ISIS and all that stuff is to understand that it's being blown out of proportion in many ways, deliberately in a effort to get ratings by the media. So one thing I like to do is compare what happens when I look at the TV screen or the computer screen with the news and what happens when I just turn my head slightly and I look out the window. And when I look out the window, I see an old lady walking her dog. I see two kids playing. I hear laughter. And then I look back at the screen and I see ISIS. Mm. So there's such a thing as a news fast that you can go on. And it's not putting your head in the sand, because you will hear from people what you need to hear about when something's going on. If there's a tsunami, for example, people will let you know.
Yeah.
You'll get some phone calls and someone will text you, and it'll just say, go to high ground immediately. And so you don't need to obsessively follow ISIS on the news or the Alabama football team either.
Yeah.
You can neither one of those. It'll scare you either way.
Yeah. Well, that's overwhelming disappointment as opposed to overwhelming sadness, right?
Depending on what you're cheering for. If you're cheering for that. So that's the key thing. And so, and the other thing is, how do I manage it? I manage it by looking at the source of it. Mm. And the source of sadness is a thought. Mm. It's something I'm believing. And the source of fear and overwhelm, it's a thought. So I want to go to the source. Most people think the source is ISIS, mm-hmm. or the tsunami. The source is my thought about it. And so go to the source. That's how to manage the feeling. That we feel what we believe. So I want to look at my beliefs if I don't like the feelings I'm having.
Yeah. I love that. The news fast thing really hits home for me. I stopped watching the news probably 4 years ago, and yet I still know all the main stuff going on. Like you said, if there's a light rain, I don't necessarily jump to thinking there's a tsunami, and if there's going to be one, somebody will tell me. So I've never thought of it that way, to look at the things that are going on and say, listen, these are purposefully being blown out of proportion for ratings. So what you're talking about, it seems, is really questioning the beliefs, like what's true and what could be just as true as the thing you're seeing. And so of course Byron Katie's work comes up with that. And there's actually one video that she does with somebody live on the work, where this woman is really, really sad about her parents being in Serbia and just having all this fear about her parents being bombed and killed and all these things. And she works through it with her, and it's around these same things. It always comes back to beliefs. And if we really give away the entire meaning of the Not So Serious Life, it's to kind of just slow down and get creative about our interpretations. Isn't that kind of like the base of everything that we talk about?
Yeah, and that's it entirely.
Yeah.
Is if you take a lighthearted view, doesn't mean you're not going to be sincere, devoted, and committed, and have an action-filled life.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing that I like too is, both of us, we're huge lovers of language, Steve. And I think a lot of people who watch the show love language, and we talk about language a lot. And when I saw this word overwhelming, I was just thinking, how can we play with the word overwhelming? And I was thinking overwhelming can have a positive connotation also. Why not overwhelm all this stuff going on with love? Why not overwhelm it with compassion? And it's like, if you're overwhelmed by fire, one of the solutions is to then overwhelm yourself with water, and then everything gets better. So if you're dealing with people in your world, maybe you're not the one experiencing the sadness yourself, but people around you are, overwhelm them with, creative ways to love and support them, and you may help them manage it a lot easier.
You know what I thought when you said a positive interpretation of overwhelming?
What?
I thought, this past week or two, you have given 2 major speeches around the world, and you were overwhelming, although you won't say so. One was in Costa Rica.
Yep.
One was in Atlanta.
And one was in Orlando. 3.
Oh, okay, three speeches, and your public talks are so good because I've been there to watch them. I saw one in Reinventing Yourself Weekend, and then one in our ACS. So I want our viewers to know that they can hire you. Anybody with an organization who's watching this, you want to bring in the best speaker you've ever had, bring in my little friend here.
Say hello to my little friend.
Bring him in. Bring him in.
I appreciate
and
that.
he will overwhelm you.
Yeah, I will. I will overwhelm you with love and humor.
You will. And wisdom.
And wisdom.
It's not just humor.
Yeah.
I mean, you do a good stand-up act. I've seen that too.
Yeah.
But you integrate humor with wisdom that really helps people.
Thank you, Steve. Well, you've been a wonderful model for that. So we'll continue our mutual admiration society once the episode's over. But that was great. Thank you for that answer, Steve. That was really, really good. And that's even good for me, just to remember again that things are a lot of times purposefully blown out of proportion. It sounds like the most nefarious, horrible thing to do, but it happens. And now that we recognize it, we don't have to be afraid of it. So thank you for that answer, Steve. That was awesome. Jim, I hope that's a good answer for you as well. And thank you, everybody, for watching. As always, don't forget to send your questions in to questions@thenotsoseriouslife.com. And don't forget to go over and sign up for our I don't even know what we're called anymore, the Inner Circle. Yeah, that's what we call it, over at thenotsoseriouslife.com. And we love you guys. And don't forget to share this with your friends and following. If you think there's one person in your world that needs to hear this message today, be a good friend and share it with them. So until next time, we love you guys, and we will see you later. Peace out.
Peace.